Hello people! So for any of you who ran out of ideas about Christmas presents, here's one that might be of interest to you. I'm going to talk to you today about Annie Sullivan and the Trials of Helen Keller by Joseph Lambert. It's a historical, fictional graphic novel about the well-known story of Helen Keller and her teacher Annie Sullivan. So basically, for those of you who don't know the story, Helen lost the ability to see and hear before she turned 2 years old, and Annie Sullivan is going to be hired as her tutor mid-19th century, and she's going to be sent in Alabama. So when the story begins here, Helen Keller is not quite 7 years old, and she can barely communicate with very, very simple signs with her parents. And Annie Sullivan, in her childhood, was also almost left blind, but thanks to surgery, her vision is going to be restored. And now it's very moving, actually, to just be aware and of how Helen Keller learns, and how that process is quite complicated. But lo and behold, she just clings onto it, and she really wants to learn more and more about the world. She has a very, very intense curiosity, and it's just moving to follow her all throughout the evolution. Now here's a quick look at the drawings. This was meant to make the reader aware of how Helen Keller perceives the world when she was only 5 or 6. So Annie Sullivan introduced Helen Keller to fingerspelling, but also how to write and read, and she also taught her how to read lips by touch. Now, for those of you who have had a teacher in their life that was actually very inspiring, that you just considered as a role model somehow, well, I believe you'll recognize yourself here, because it's also about the very strong bond that may exist between teacher and pupil. And voila, it's very, very insightful, it's beautiful. And they also used cursive writing from the journals of Annie Sullivan, which makes the story all the more realistic. It really is beautiful, so it's very highly recommended. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did.